Okay, wonderful. Hello, everyone. My name is Liz Arbuckle. Welcome to our Ojibwe storytelling. It is the last in our series, and we have Wanda McFaggen tonight, and she'll be starting in a few minutes. We're just going to wait till everyone logs in here. What we'd like for you to do, if possible, is to write in the chat box where you're joining us from tonight. Let's see, the chat box should be open. And then you can just go ahead and put in where you're joining us from, maybe who's joining with you, if you're watching with a family or if you're at a watch party. I know there's a watch party going on over in Manitowish Waters. And we've got friends from Milwaukee watching and kind of all over the country in different places. So it's always nice to see people log on. Do you got anyone special coming tonight, Wanda, that you expect to pop up?
Some family.
Nice. Very nice. From the St. Croix area or the Twin Cities or?
St. Croix.
Okay, nice. Yeah, well, thank you all for joining us. As you may have known, we had 3 other speakers earlier this month. We had Mike Wiggins, Val Barber, and Chris Migizi. All of those videos are available on our YouTube page. So if you go to YouTube and just type in the Wisconsin Historical Society, you'll be able to see those videos. And I believe they're going to live there forever, for a very long time. Oh, hi, Val. I'm so glad you could join us. And Wanda's will be there too. Should be by the end of this week. We'll have hers up and ready to go. And while I was doing this, Wanda, I got notified that I've got a cousin, because we've got Arbuckles in St. Croix.
Yes.
And then my great-grandpa John Arbuckle and his brother Hiram came up to Bad River from St. Croix, married 2 Bad River ladies, and then proceeded to have lots of kids and then just stayed here. So that's why I'm here. But they've got Arbuckle cousin, or he left his siblings back there. So I've heard from a few folks that they're like, are we cousins? I'm like, I believe we are, if you're from St. Croix. So that's always fun.
Yep.
You know, so I'm sure that may happen to you too. Finding a long lost cousin or 2.
It could be. I do some family history when I have the time, researching my mother and my father's family, just something to do. And hopefully one day our younger generation will be interested in knowing where they came from.
Yeah, that's really important. I know we do that at the society as well. We do genealogical workshops and they're always booked. People are fascinated about where they come from and who they are. And it's fun. It's fun to meet some cousins. And I've got one cousin, she's out in California, that does the ancestry. So you have to follow the leaf or whatever that is. I haven't figured that out yet, but it does look fun. So someone did ask on Facebook if you were related to a Nordine, I believe. Mary Norden? Does that sound right?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Nordine.
I don't know if it's Nordine or Norden. It was like an IN. I think up here they pronounce it the long E. So, oh, Winnipeg, DeJope, Anchorage, Alaska. Geez, Wanda. We've got friends and relatives from all over. This is fantastic joining us tonight. So I wanted to put up the little map because it's fun to see where people come from in relation to the map, obviously on the left, but also I think it's really important to share that American Indian Reservation and Trust Lands map that is on the right. That's kind of an older map. Actually, when my sister was working for the government, her organization put that one together. And it's very useful. It really shows and explains, I think, things very well where everybody is. So that's what we've got. Got quite a few people still logging on and joining us. One of the big questions we get all the time, Wanda, or our speakers get a lot, is where did you learn these stories? Who told you these stories? Are you going to cover that at all, or maybe do that during question and answer?
I can cover a little bit of it in the beginning.
Okay, yeah, I think it's really interesting how people collect and create these stories.
Yeah, for me it is because in watching one of the other ones, I noticed that a lot of the teachings and the stories came from the grandmothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have the privilege to know my grandmother. She had passed away when I was very young. So I didn't get the chance to know her. And so a lot of them, the stories that I've been able to pick up were just at different gatherings, NAGPR gatherings, preservation gatherings, and things like that. I've been told a lot, but there's only a few that have stayed in my heart, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Well, hold on, Wanda. Keep your powder dry. We're gonna let me introduce you, and we can get right to that storytelling.
Okay.
I'm going to Jackie. Could you put the next slide on? Okay, wonderful. All right, well, thank you all for coming. I'm Liz Arbuckle, your host this evening. We are here to listen to some stories from Wanda McFaggen. We are excited and delighted she is joining us tonight. I have a few housekeeping things to go over first. You're automatically muted when you join our Zoom because it's a webinar. If you have a question for Wanda, use the Q&A button to write it at any time during the presentation. And then we'll have about 10 minutes at the end for questions that she can take. There won't be a chance for you to ask verbal questions, just written questions, and then I'll read those for her because she's going to be busy telling stories. So we're going to try to, behind the scenes, get her questions ready for her. The chat is open now, but it's going to be closing very shortly. The chat will remain closed throughout her entire session. And it will open again at the end for goodbyes. So, all right. And now I just would like to, you can remove the slides and we'll turn it over to Wanda, everyone, Wanda McFaggen. It's my sincere honor and privilege to welcome you to our event tonight. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, and I appreciate the invite to have me here this evening. I'm from St. Croix. I work in the Tribal Historic Preservation Department as the Preservation Officer, Program Director. I've been working there 22 years. The stories that I have tonight were just picked up along my 22 years in the Ojibwe gatherings that we've had with meetings and different events throughout my work at the St. Croix tribe. My grandmother, I never knew, so I didn't get a whole lot of traditional knowledge from her or my family. So when I moved up here, I sought out a lot of people that could help me with my position and also give me some traditional knowledge. So these stories that I have chosen tonight have kind of stuck with me. I'm not quite sure why, but I believe they're teaching stories. So I hope that the audience gets a little bit out of them or something to think about anyways, about how we live our life and how we do today. So the first story I'll tell you is about the Ojibwe dream catcher. And when we were all together at one time on Turtle Island, all of the clans were located in one area. So it was told to me that by maybe he was a storyteller, I don't know. But I listened to this story and they told it to me like this. This is how I capture it anyway. The Ojibwe talk about how Winnebago helped to bring Migizi, the sun, back to the people. And to this day, Bii-daab-a-noo-kwe, the spider woman, you'll catch that sun every morning if you go outside in the morning in the summertime. You can look in trees and you'll see that oh my gosh, I can't remember how to say that. Bii-daab-a-noo-kwe, spider woman. You'll see her, how she makes her lodge every morning, and you'll see the miracle of how she captured the sunrise, because the light will sparkle from the dew on her web. So Spider Woman, she took care of the children, the people of the land, and she still does that today. When the Ojibwe Nation dispersed to the four corners of North America to fulfill our prophecy, Spider Woman had a difficult time making her journey to all of the children, all of the cradle boards. So in turn for a grandmother saving her life, she gave that gift to the grandmothers, the mothers, the aunties, and the sisters, took up the practice of weaving the special webs, the magical webs for the new babies, and they used willow hoops and sinew or cordage made from plants. And it was in the shape of a circle to represent how Migizi each day crossed the sky. The dream catcher, as we know, will filter out all of the bad dreams and allow only the good dreams to enter into the minds when we are abanuji, or babies, little children. You'll see a hole in the center of each dream catcher where those good dreams may come through. When the first rays of the sunlight, the bad dreams will perish or go away. So when you see that little spider, you shouldn't be afraid of her, but instead give her respect and protect her in honor of the gift that she gave to our people. In honor of their of the spider woman's origin, when we make that dream catcher, we either make the hoop in number of 8 for the spider woman's legs, or 7 for the prophecies, the 7 prophecies. It was traditional to put a feather in the center of the dream catcher, which meant breath or air. And that's essential for life. A baby watching the air playing with the feather on their cradle board was entertained, while also was given the gift, the lessons of the importance of good air. Nowadays, they use gemstones like they have on the ones for sale. But long time ago, we didn't do that. It wasn't done by the old people. Government laws had forbidden the sale of feathers from our sacred birds. So using 4 gemstones to represent the 4 directions from our sacred birds. And the stones were used by the Western nations, were also substituted by us. We had to replace the feathers that we used from the birds that helped us in our way today. The government outlawed a lot of our ceremonial practices, so we had to substitute. So we picked up the stones. We used a lot of different kind of feathers today, not eagle feathers, or if just different feathers and stones. But dream catchers, children's dream catchers are different from adults' dream catchers. Children's dream catchers were made temporary, where they would collapse in time to show the temporariness of the youth or the child. Whereas adult dream catchers, they were made more solitary, I guess you could say. And they were made more with woven fibers, which made up to reflect a lot of our dreams. It's also customary to have dream catchers in teardrop snowshoe shape. And that's how I make my dream catchers when I make them. I make them out of branches. I try and get willow with sinew or something cordage. And I give them away. I don't keep any. So I try and encourage, like a lady that works in our building, she had a cradle board made for her, I believe it was her grandchild, but I told her to be sure. She showed me a picture of it because she said, I know you'd appreciate this, but it was beautiful. Anyways, I told her to be sure and make a child's dream catcher and put that on there so that the baby could look at the feather and watch it blow in the wind and get that gift of good air, you know. So I'm hoping she did that. I do try and pass on this story to other ones so that they can begin with this gift and continue on with this gift. But it's really neat if you go outside in the summertime and you find the spider web. Some of them are huge and they're really beautiful. I don't have a dream catcher with me right now, but I do have you probably can't see it. This is how ours looks. I hope you can see it. But anyway, so that's just one of the stories that I was thought I could tell this evening. I hope you kind of understood it. But anyways, I'll go on to the next one and hope you get more out of it than that one. I don't
Wanda,
know.
this is Liz. I was just going to say, we could see your picture.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
great.
It's all good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. But this next story, I heard it once, and it just really impacted me and made me think a lot about how we do as Native people. And it just touched me. When I first heard it, I cried because to me, it's very powerful. And I call it the spirits are hungry. And a long time ago, this old guy was going to go check his trap lines, and he had to go up a big hill. And when he got to the top of the hill, he heard somebody, he heard noise, like crying noise. And he says, I went to look to go see where that noise was coming from, that crying noise. And there was a little man there. He knew he wasn't human. He knew he was a spirit. And he asked that spirit, why are you crying? Why are you feeling bad? And the spirit told him, it's you people. We watch you. We are trying to take care of you, but you don't listen to us anymore. The spirit said you used to do ceremonies to do offerings for us. And this is what we used to get. And you don't do that anymore, those ceremonies. So we don't have nothing. Tobacco. We don't have any more tobacco, and we're hungry. The food you used to offer during the ceremonies was the food that we used to live on. We thrived on. The way that's being introduced today is changing our way of life. The life that was given to us is Anishinaabe. Anishinaabe, Bii-daab-a-noo-kwe, the life that was given to you, you're leaving behind. You're no longer following the teachings, our way. We're trying to guide you, he told him. Trying to watch over you, but you don't listen no more. Too busy with the other stuff that's making everybody crazy. The modern society, the epidemic of drugs. And I always thought of that story. And I always thought how important it was. Because a lot of people don't do that anymore. A lot of our people don't do it anymore. So I think about those spirits, those ones that are hungry, that are not being fed. And I try and tell our people it's important to even just to put out a spirit dish for them. When we have family gatherings, it's my cousin Jim. that always does our spirit dish and puts it out for us. So that's important, never forget, even in today's society, never forget what we were taught to do to help us as Indigenous people. So, gosh, I guess I'm rolling through my stories kind of quick here. I don't even know if they're stories, but so I'll tell you about this personal thing that happened to me a few years ago. I've had a lot of things come to me in this position, a lot of gifts that have come, and a lot of tears, a lot of hurtful things about our people. And when I first started this position, I didn't know anything about preservation or federal law or anything. I worked in construction, certified in heavy equipment. But I resigned from my job because I just couldn't, I didn't agree with the management at that time. So I had quit my job. But during that time, after I quit construction, I went on unemployment, and we survived for a time. I had 2 children and being a single parent. But also during that time, I started to go to lodge, get involved in ceremony, and live that way, live that good life, Migizi. And I was always taught to be given because of my background. A lot of hurtful things in my background. So I didn't want to be that way. When I started walking this way, this good path, I didn't want to be bitter and mean and stuff. Some people say I'm mean now, but that's just them. But anyway, so I was telling you about this teaching and giving you a little bit of my background. So after my unemployment ran out, I started getting a little bit depressed and started thinking, oh my God, what did I do? I've got kids to feed and no job and no income. And so I started panicking a little bit, and depression started getting in the way. So I didn't want my kids to see me cry and wonder what's going on, even though I think they knew something was going on anyway. But so to keep myself out of sight from them, I went into my my room and started to straighten up my room and make my bed. And so you know how you fling up your bedspread like that and it comes floating down, and then you straighten out the parts of it. Well, I had done that. And so then I sat down on my bed just thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? But, you know, Junia money has a certain green color to it that you can't mistake. Anyways, I was sitting there, I had my hands on my head, and out of the corner of my eye, I see that green. So I looked over there and I couldn't believe it. There was $20 laying on my pillow. And it wasn't there before because I just made my bed. So I picked it up and I turned it over and I thought, oh my God, where did this come from? So I took my kids and we went up to the store and got some basic necessities, I guess, bread, eggs, milk, some gas for my vehicle. But after we got back home, I put some tobacco out because I was very thankful to the Creator for finding that, you know. It was $20, but at that time it meant a lot to us. So putting my tobacco out, my asema, and thanking the Creator, I knew that I had to get back to working. And finding that gave me motivation to go and talk with my tribal council and tell them that I need a job. You know, I would be the bathroom cleaner, the custodian, you know, I would do anything. Just that I needed to get back to work because I was the sole income for me and my children. And so I was very lucky that two of my council members, one is passed away now, and his name is Marvin David Murrow. And the other lady council was Beverly Benjamin. They hired me as a land officer. So I started going to school and started learning federal law and how to do my job properly because I was so grateful to be getting a job. Being hired as a land officer led me to becoming the historic preservation officer 22 years ago. But my uncle, he's a spiritual man, Lewis Taylor. And I talked with him about what had happened to start me motivated to get back to work. And I told him how I found that money. And the first thing he asked me was, did you put tobacco out for it? And I had told him, yes, I did. I was grateful. And he told me, he said, they do that, meaning the spirits. And he said that they don't know what Junia is. They don't know what money is, but they know that we need it here to make a living. and he also told me that if you're living in a good way, they'll come and reward you. They'll come and bring you something that you need. My wa'en told me that we should never give because we expect this reward or we want that gift, that we should always do it out of the goodness of our hearts because we want to do it and not because we expect something in return. So when my uncle told me that stayed with me for a long time. And 22 years later in preservation, I'm very thankful for my the duties that I do for the tribe. I feel comfortable and my job setting, working with my tribal council. They've been really a tremendous supporter of us and going forward. So I thank you for allowing me to share with you. I hope everybody got something from it, or at least a thought anyway, especially about that guy with the talking to that spirit. We always got to remember to feed those spirits because they do take care of us. So thank you. And I hope you enjoyed it.
Miigwech, Wanda. We enjoyed it very much. Don't go anywhere, Wanda. We have a whole list of questions for you. They've been rolling in. As you saw at the beginning, we saw our friends logging on and coming from all over the place. So we have people that know a lot about Native questions, a lot about Native culture or Ojibwe culture, and then we have people that are just learning. So we have some questions of things that you mentioned, and they just wanted to clarify. The first one is, what is a spirit dish? Because you talked about putting together a spirit dish, and for people outside our culture, that's a new term for them. Could you explain what that is and why that's important to us?
When we have a feast or a ceremonial gathering, a funeral, we always make a dish of food for the spirits. And it's usually compiled of everything that is brought to the ceremony, because ceremonies are kind of potluck, I guess you could say, because each one that comes brings a dish to contribute. So from all of the food that's brought, we just make a plate and put a little bit of each of the foods, and then we'll go and set it outside with tobacco and then put the dish down, and the spirits will come in and feed too. So they'll feast with us when we feast, and they also get the food and the tobacco that they thrive on.
Miigwech. The other question that you and I think, take for granted is they're wondering why tobacco? Why do we use tobacco? Why do we put down tobacco?
Tobacco was gifted to us by the Creator. It was one of the many gifts that He gave to our people. And when you look at commercial tobacco, it's not the same as our traditional tobacco, we call kinnikinnick, and it's made up of different herbs that are collected from the land. I'm not sure what's all in it, but so that's what we use. Because that tobacco, traditional tobacco, is hard for us to come by sometime, that we use commercial tobacco like Prince Albert pipe tobacco or half and half tobacco, because it's more readily available to us. But when we do have our traditional tobacco, we use it only for special occasions, I guess, or we don't use it as often as you would find with commercial tobacco.
Great. Another question people had is, they see a lot of mass-produced dream catchers. How are those different from what you're talking about, and what are your thoughts there?
Well, I don't know the Lakota version of how their dream catchers came to be. I just came across this guy that was talking about dream catchers and how they were different. So being in my department, I wondered why. Why are they different? You know, and so, you know, as years go by, you kind of forget about it, but then it stays there. So I heard about this style of dream catcher, and to me it made sense to us. And the concept is still the same, just the style and the background is a little different.
Another question we have is, someone says you do a work in wild rice restoration. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I have worked with Liz or Peter David up at the Cliffwick office. Let's see. Did I do a story on that before or not? But there was a time when all of our rice got lost on Clam Lake, and my family riced that lake for generations. And it was kind of heartbreaking to see that all the rice was gone. So my cousin and I, we went in a circle, starting with Mille Lacs, and traveled all through the circle like that. And we went into each of the tribal communities with gifts and tobacco, and we asked them to come to St. Croix and hold lodge with us. Help us pray to bring back our wild rice, that it was gone. And a lot of them said, yeah, we'll come. And when I got to Mo Lake, I met this man that I knew. Well, I met him years and years before, and that's another story I have, but there's no time. He said when the time came, we would have to go to his reservation and do the same for him because his rice was disappearing from his ricing lake. So we held lodge at Clam Lake 4 years in a row. And we prayed and danced and feasted there for the rice. At the same time, our EPA department was working very diligently to remove the carp. Somebody along the line thought carp would be a good introduction to Clam Lake to fight off another invasive species, but the carp overran the lake and damaged all the rice, so we didn't have any more rice. So they did that on the western end, and we did ours on the traditional end. Now we have over 80 acres, and that was back in 2016. 80 acres of flourishing rice on that lake. And I'm sure it's probably expanded by now, because if you think 2016 till now, it's probably got a whole bunch of rice on that lake.
Fantastic. That's a nice happy ending story. We got another question. We got a few questions about your work. Like I said, a lot of people are new to our culture, our work, our tribes, and they were wondering if you could explain what a tribal historic preservation officer does and what you like best about it.
Gosh, I hope I don't get myself in trouble. But what my main duties are is to keep us in federal compliance with the United States government under the National Historic Preservation Act. Anytime we have a project or a ground disturbing development on the reservation, they will send a packet of paperwork to me, which includes a legal land description, a plat map, and what we call a topo map. And they'll request to have a historic review or a Section 106 review. So then I will go into the database and I will research the land to see if there's anything significant to us as a tribe or Indian people that may impact this project. For example, okay, you're putting a building up, but our records show we have an archaeological site there. We have a prehistoric village camp there. So when I mention prehistoric, that is before the coming of the Europeans. So I will recommend to the tribal council or to whatever entity, maybe housing or EPA, that this project not proceed where they have it planned due to this archaeological site. So I'm basically the one that tells them yay or nay on their projects. And that's where I said, I hope I don't get myself in trouble because I just like doing that. No, I'm just kidding. So I will work with everybody to try and do the best outcome for the archaeological site. But You know, if your building's going to intrude on something that's sacred to us, you got to move your building. Sorry.
And
So
that's another good follow-up. I'm sorry, Wanda. Go ahead.
So that happens a lot in the spring, summer, and fall. And then winter time is kind of a little bit downtime. So that's how I took on the history of the tribe and started to research our history in hopes that we can build a pretty good timeline about how we got here and why we were left out of all the treaties. You know, I mean, especially the main treaty that gave reservations out, 1854. But
that's interesting because Chris Migizi, you know, from Mole Lake, shared the story of how Mole Lake got left out of the treaties last week. And so that's a great point to make that St. Croix was in a similar situation.
Yeah, we were, the two of us were considered to be the lost bands.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, but yeah.
And according to the treaties, everyone was supposed to come up, the lost bands were supposed to come up to Bad River, which is why Bad River has the most acreage. That was supposed to be shared with everybody else as like a catch-all. Nobody came, Wanda. Nobody came. Why, Wanda?
We did research because a lot of people said that our chief Yabans didn't sign the 1854 treaty.
Mm-hmm.
He did sign the 1854 treaty, but he signed it under Lee.
Oh.
So that basically lumped us all together when we should have remained in our distinct identity as being St. Croix, you know.
Yep.
But thankfully we got it taken care of 200 years later.
It takes a while, but we get there. One of the other questions we had was advice for young people, especially, you don't want to do that one, Wanda? Especially for kids who are young adults who are struggling, because you mentioned your story and a lot of people found that very impactful and very powerful, and recognized your strength there. And so what advice do you have other young people that are struggling and just trying to get through it, especially in our Native communities?
Don't start the drugs and the drinking. You know, that has just almost wrecked us. You know, stay in school. You know, if you're struggling, find somebody that's going to listen and help you. You know, go to the spiritual people. You know, if you're scared to approach an elder, sum up that courage, because that's what we're here for, is to help you and give you advice, you know. Whoever you're comfortable with, go and talk to them. You know, I have a lot of spiritual mentors that I can go to when I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to slip, or my mental health isn't as well as it should be. So that's what I would encourage young people going through struggles, is you got to open up and talk. And I know that's hard to do. And I know a lot of young people just want to isolate themselves and play the games and just kind of push reality aside. But if you continue to do that, it's going to come crashing down on you. I just suggest to talk with the spiritual people, talk with the elders. If you don't know spiritual people, reach out. You know, who's the spiritual ones in your community? reach out to them. You know, like when we were doing the wild rice restoration, we went into all the reservations, all the Ojibwe reservations. We didn't know anybody. I didn't. You know, we just popped in their feeding sites or their tribal centers and, you know, hey, where's your spiritual people? We need to talk with them. So that would be my strongest thing is, you know, don't lose your faith and open that mouth and start talking to somebody, because there's somebody out there that's waiting to help you.
That's excellent advice. Another question, actually, this is a question I had because you didn't share about this. So hopefully I don't get in trouble for mentioning this, but I know you make star quilts in your regular time, in your personal, your Wanda time. What's the and up here in Bad River, we have a tradition where our elderly ladies and lots of ladies make star quilts for all of our graduating seniors, and it's a beautiful ceremony. Could you talk a little bit about the significance of those and that?
Well, my one mentor, she used to work with me for a while, and I really miss her. Mary Jane Frog is her name, and she's passed away now, but I think of her so much. But anyway, my mother taught me how to sew. And when I was 19, she bought me a sewing machine from the yard sale for $10, you know, and my great auntie had a lot of fabric because she was a seamstress. And so my mom had a lot of that fabric, and so she bought me that sewing machine, and she started to teach me how to make ribbon shirts. So I made like, I don't know, 2 or 3 ribbon shirts, and my sister does beadwork. She does moccasins, pucker-toed style moccasins and beadwork. And she was having a stand at the powwow, so I was able to put my ribbon shirts in there, and they sold. And so that kind of started me going on sewing. But then
wait, you got to explain to the crowd what a ribbon shirt is.
Oh, a ribbon shirt is,
oh, yes,
is this. It has, gosh, I don't know.
There you go. That's perfect.
It has ribbons on it, and it's just a decorative style for men.
Where would they wear those?
They wear them to ceremonies, powwows, if they want to look sharp. Just different places wherever they, you know, men, a lot of men wear ribbon shirts. So that's what I started out making. And then I almost drowned in the alcohol bottle for a long time. I'll say, I don't even know. I've been sober like over 35 years now, but so I after I started walking this road, hobby is a very important thing if you're in recovery, to have some type of hobby. And I always beaded when I was young, a young girl in Chicago. So I started getting into crafting and just making purses and totes and simple things. But then my mentor brought in this pattern and she said, we should make these. And well, what is it? She said, a star quilt. She said, look at how easy it is. You just do strips. And I looked at that pattern and I thought, I don't understand that. Because I never used a pattern. I did everything freehand. So but I did look at it again and kind of went on YouTube and kind of looked at star quilts, how to make a star quilt. And so I gave it a whirl, but I didn't do it with the strips. I did it with the rectangles. And you cut they're 2.5 by 3.5 rectangles. And then you kind of fit them together like that and then turn it up and it forms the start of your star quilt. But man, that took forever. So I thought, well, I'm just gonna try. And my girlfriend Maxine Babineau up in Red Cliff, she does star quilts. So we kind of, I'm not really even sure how we met, but she kind of helped me along to do. She said, oh, do the strip method. It's way faster. So that's when I started trying with the strips. The first one didn't really come out. My points were all lopsided and I had that volcano in the middle that tipped.
Oh, I've met with a volcano when I've tried making my own. Yep.
So I just kept doing it and doing it. And finally, I just, people started wanting them. They started wanting to buy them. And I thought, oh, really? Because I didn't think I was that good, but, you know, I guess I was. They held together so long.
Nice.
You know, still holding up on somebody's bed, I'm sure. But,
do you make ribbon skirts as well? And can you
yeah.
explain what ribbon skirts are to people?
Ribbon
Or do you have an example?
No, I don't. As a matter of fact, I just sold one, I think like a week ago. But ribbon skirts are kind of contemporary for us, at least what I know of them. But they're just cloth like a ribbon skirt. You can have it any kind of length you want. Me, I got skinny legs, so I keep mine down to the floor. But and you just put ribbon on it, like this size ribbon, even the bigger ribbon, and you just decorate it. And some have I don't know what you would call those, but they just have they're really beautiful. If you look on Pinterest or Instagram and just punch in ribbon skirts. I was always told that little girls have their ribbon spaced apart, signifying the temporariness of childhood, whereas the ladies have theirs all together. And I'm not quite sure the significance of it, but I see ribbon skirts on ladies where they're spaced apart. I think it's all just a matter of how you want to do yours. And now I even see some that are like that, you know, kind of zigzagging.
Where would a lady wear her ribbon skirt?
Well, I wear mine on Rock Yamox Day, November 15th. If I'm going to a ceremony, I'll wear mine. Or if I just feel like I want to dress up for the day, I'll wear mine because they're very beautiful skirts.
They are. They are. Well, we are just about out of time, Wanda. And is there anything else you wanted to share?
No, I think I'm good. I'm surprised that I lasted this long.
Time always goes fast. It really does.
Yeah.
And I've appreciated, I've learned a lot. I'm sure a lot of our audience has learned a lot as well. And so I thank you on behalf of all of us for that. Okay, and Jackie, if you could put up our slide. So we've got a nice little slide. There we go. There you are. Wanda is available. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. She still can be reached at her email, and she does work for St. Croix tribe. And you can reach her there if you have a question or a comment or just to say hi, or if you have a quilt pattern you want to share, reach out. She'd be interested. This recording will be available on our YouTube channel, hopefully by the end of this week. And if you could share with us your feedback, we'd really appreciate it. You can go to wihist.org/tellus2, and Wanda's event ID number is 8821. So everyone has their own unique event ID number. So you can enter that and let us know how we did tonight. We're particularly interested in what you're interested in learning out there. Okay, Jackie, can you put the next one up? And this is how you can get a hold of us. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We're on as much social media as we can be on. So you can certainly follow us there and keep apprised of our events that we've got going. And this is our last session. Okay, this is our last session for the season, but hopefully I think we'll be back next year with some new speakers and storytellers. And is there another slide? I don't think so. Okay.
There's not.
Okay. All right. You can just take down the slides, and I'm just going to say goodbye to Wanda. And where are you, Wanda? Let me pin you. There you are. Well, thank you so much, Wanda. I'll be in touch soon. On behalf of Wisconsin Historical Society, we really appreciate you sharing your time with us tonight.
Sure. You take care.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye now.